Some people might know that Hunter is one of the classes set for a slight rework pretty soon. So we have this forum post from Orion where he talks about the upcoming Hunter work. So in this video I'm gonna go through this post and look at the live game and see what changes they have in plan for the Hunter. And we're gonna start with the Blue Line Hunter compared to the live game, which you can see below here. Blue Line Hunter is a mid-range mobile harasser who deals sustained damage while free to move. They unload rapid volleys, dealing damage quickly. Huntsman fills its DPS role as a skirmisher, dealing equally at home in melee and at range. The Huntsman uses mobility and honed talents to soften their targets at range and deliver devastating melee hits. In times of need, they use their ability to find cover to exact grievous injury on their enemies. So it seems like Blue Line Hunter is going into a free to move, but also somehow melee based as well. So if you look at the live version of the game, you get a Scorching Blow and you get Barrage, and induction based attacks can be used while moving, no focus loss on movement, no mischance penalty for movement. So the upcoming changes is saying grants Scorching Blow, that's the same. Scorching Blow deals 2 attacks, deals 15% damage for each stack of Lingering Wound to each attack, and it stops the bleeding. So with Scorching Blow in the new Blue Line Hunter, you'll do bonus damage if you have Lingering Wound stacks on the target. And in Blue Line you're also granted Lingering Wound. As you can see, Lingering Wound is currently a yellow line only thing. So Lingering Wound is going to get moved over to blue. And since there's no mention of Barrage here, I guess Barrage is no longer part of Blue Line Hunter. So Lingering Wound probably replaces Barrage. And we have the same induction based attacks can be used while moving and blah blah blah, no focus loss. So it can still be a mobile DPS as a Blue Line Hunter. Now let's look at the Blue Line traits. So Impactful Arrows seems like it stays the same. Each tier gives ranged damage. Strong Draw is changing to Strong Arms to include melee damage as well. And it seems like from rank 1 through 6 you get 5% bow damage each and 2.5% melee damage. That will equal to 30% bow damage and 15% melee damage if you max this one out. For bow skills that consume focus, and I guess melee skills as well. And as usual, the rank 6 will also have a chance to reduce the focus cost of all skills. The first set bonus will change. Knock on the move is getting changed to the Skirmisher. Successful melee attacks grants 1 focus, critical melee attacks grant 2 focus, and you still have the plus 20% induction movement speed. So basically, Knock on the move is just changing the name to the Skirmisher and getting some focus gain on melee attacks, but still keeping the plus 20% induction movement speed. Moving on to the second tier of traits, Press Onward is still the same. 1 point into Press Onward grants the Press Onward skill. Quickshot Focus also stays the same, 4% Quickshot bonus per rank, and no change to this trait. The next trait is Split Shot, and on the new changes it says Split Shot grants the skill Split Shot, and it doesn't specify that it has multiple ranks. Improved Intent Concentration is going away and getting replaced by Athleticism. It'll have 3 ranks, and every rank will increase your physical mastery, depending on your level of course, so this will be a scaling trait. And on every harmful skill you have 3.33% chance to gain Fleetness per rank. So Fleetness is 10% in combat run speed for 20 seconds. So putting 3 points into this gives you a lot of mastery, and also should give you a 10% chance to proc the in combat run speed buff, which makes sense because you're a mobile DPS moving around a bit. So Intent Concentration going away, replaced by Athleticism. The rank 10 set bonus is changing. It seems like Barbed Hindrance, which is from on the rank 15 set bonus, gets moved up a spot, replacing Fleetness. Fleetness, as we can see, got moved into this trait, the Athleticism trait, but Barbed Hindrance moving up to be rank 10 set bonus, and it also, as before, gives plus 30% barbed arrow damage, but also plus 30% to barbed arrow bleed damage, and also adds a slow to the target by 20%. So Blue Line Hunter gets a slow to barbed arrow. Moving on to the next line of traits, Perseverance will change from what it currently is. It has 4 ranks. It'll have 5 ranks, and 5% each will increase the press onward heals. So pretty much not changing at all, just gaining 1 extra rank, where rank 1 will be 5% and rank 5 will be 25% to press onward heal. And it seems like Precision, which is pretty far down, is getting moved up to this line over here. Precision is moving up, but it's not changing at all, just switching places to this third line of traits. The Pathfinder trait will change slightly. From having 5 ranks, it'll change to 3 ranks, where each rank will give 5% boost to find the path speed bonus. And for our rank 15 set bonus, which will replace the Fleetness kind of, because Barbed Hindrance is moving up, Fleetness moving into a trait. So the third set bonus for blue will be Nature's Barb. Low Cut becomes Nature's Barb. So currently Low Cut is a max 5 targets melee skill, the 5 meter radius, 2 attacks that also slows your target's run speed, and it adds 3 to focus. So the change to Low Cut into Nature's Barb. Nature Barbs become a melee skill, so it's still a melee skill, but only 1 target, so it's a single target attack. The Low Cut in front of you channels natural energy to purge corruption from your enemy. 100% chance to remove corruption on the main hand attack, and 25% chance to remove corruption on the offhand attack. So Low Cut is going to change into a single target attack, but also a nice corruption removal tool as well. So Low Cut changing to Nature's Barb if you're Blue Line Hunter, giving you more corruption removal power. Moving on to the next line of traits, Improved Blood Arrow will not change at all. The name will just be Improved Blood Arrow, and will still do the same heals with the same cost of 2 ranks. Exsanguinate sees a slight change. Currently it has 3 ranks, where rank 1 has 33 and then 66 and then 100 on 3 ranks. But this will change with the new Exsanguinate. Only 2 ranks. Tier 1 is 66% chance to unlock Exsanguinate, and Tier 2 is 100% chance to unlock Exsanguinate. And of course, if you get this trait, you will always go for the 100%. So 1 less point in order to unlock Exsanguinate. Barbed Fury also sees a slight change. Instead of having 5 ranks, where it increases 4% on every rank, it now has 4 ranks, which each rank increasing 5%, giving it up to a max of 20% hunter damage over time. And looking at the fourth set bonus, Hunter's Voice, it will reduce the cooldown of Cry of the Hunter, but only by 10 seconds instead of the live 15 seconds. Still get the 10% run speed, and you also get a small increase to the shield strength with this new trait. And moving on to the next set of traits, Shot Through the Heart is changing the name to Through the Heart. Heartseeker, Merciful Shot, and also melee skills will do more damage to targets with active bleeds, so also increasing your melee damage with Through the Heart. Volley doesn't change, it keeps the same effects as it has on live. And it seems like we're getting a new trait to this line, Martial Training, 2 ranks, and it seems like they're taking from the Improved Fleetness set bonus and moving it into a trait. On every harmful skill, 10% chance to get the Fleetness run speed, but with this new trait, it's going to be a 5% chance to get it, and the Fleetness run speed is increased per rank. And we're also keeping the Fleetness focus gain per 5 seconds, and also additionally, we get a plus 5% melee damage per rank, so you can get another 10% melee damage, meaning you could gain 10% melee damage from this trait. For the 5th set bonus, we get a brand new trait. Find Cover is a new set bonus. In combat, Camouflage, so Camouflage will change in combat, and it will change to Find Cover. It can be used in combat, but the cooldown will then be 1 minute. So ranged attacks while in Camouflage gain 25% critical chance and 25% critical magnitude. So Camouflage kind of becomes a cooldown for Blue Line, where you can gain the camouflage effects the crit chance and crit magnitude while you're in combat. As we know, hunters usually camouflage before the fight to get this bonus, but Blue Line Hunter is going to be able to do this in combat with a longer cooldown on the skill. Strength of the Earth in the next line doesn't really change that much. The only change is rank 1 is still 10%, but rank 2 is changed to 20%. Additionally, both ranks will also increase melee damage, not just ranged. So Strength of the Earth, pretty much the same cooldown, restoring power and then giving a damage buff on top of that, but also giving a damage buff to melee damage as well. Next up, we have Improved Intent Concentration. So this trait is getting moved further down into the lines. So it's pretty much going to take the place of Precision. Intent Concentration moving down to Precision. It will have 2 tiers, reducing the Intent Concentration cooldown by 12 seconds per rank. So 24-second cooldown removal at max rank, down from 30 seconds. Set bonus number 6, Earthborn, is moving down 1 trait. So number 6 will be Earthborn. Strength of the Earth, which is your cooldown in blue, now restores morale and focus while it's active. So restoring 1 focus per second and also restoring morale while active. And moving down to the last line of the traits, the moving target is getting replaced by Rupture Artery. This will grant you a brand new skill, Rupture Artery, a melee attack dealing additional damage to a target suffering from a barbed arrow that automatically scores a critical strike on targets affected by exsanguination. Critical hits stop the exsanguination bleed. This melee skill will have 2 attacks with a 20-second cooldown, and obviously you should use this skill if barbed arrow is up and if exsanguinate is up for maximum damage. So the idea will be that when you have the exsanguinate bleed and barbed arrow just as they're about to expire is when you probably would use this skill, dealing strong melee damage. And the second capstone trait, Rapid Fire, sees no changes and is still the same as before. And the final set bonus, Intensified Fire, changes name to Intense Assault, but it keeps the original effect where every attack made while Rapid Fire is active puts a stacking physical mastery buff on the hunter. Moving over to Redline Hunter. On live, Redline is a stationary long-range hunter dealing great damage. A stationary high-impact line that rains bursts of damage upon the assailant, using a rhythm of generating and consuming focus to maximize DPS. And the skills you earn is Pinning Shot in red, which is a root skill, and you can get Needful Haste, which you pretty much have up all the time because you use your skills so frequently. And in Redline you also have plus 10 meters max distance for all your ranged skills, so you can attack stuff from further away as a Redline Hunter. In the forum post, Orion says, Bowmaster is the traditional backline archer with skills that deal devastating damage because of careful aim and concentration. Bowmaster can move, but is rewarded with greater efficacy when stationary and making the most of their induction skills. So basically, Redline Hunter, as we know, does best when they can stand still and pump out damage. New for Red Hunter, you gain the skill Barrage, so Barrage goes away from blue and goes into Redline Hunter. And Needful Haste is still a thing, and the max range is still a thing. But instead of Pinning Shot, you earn Barrage. From what I could see in the forum post, there were no notes on the first tiers of traits, so I think we can assume that Pen Shot with True Shot, Critical Eye, and Fast Draw will stay the same. The first set bonus, the first rank of set bonuses for Hunter, Swift Release has a slight change. Instead of 25% Barbed Arrow and Swift Bow induction, it is instead reduced by 33%. There's also no note on Heartseeker, so I'm assuming that stays the same. Draw Weight sees no change, it stays the same. Swift and True is pretty much the same. The only change is Quickshot has a 20% chance to reduce the induction of Swiftbow by 100%. That's on live. But on this rework, Quickshot will instead have a 25% chance to reduce the induction. The second set bonus in red sees another change. Instead of just 5% range damage, it is now 10% range damage and 2.5% crit magnitude. On the next line of traits, the only note is Deadly Precision. So I'm assuming that Deadly Precision gets moved up to the 3rd rank of traits. And instead of being just 1 rank for the critical hit focus chance, you have a 33% chance gain on each rank. 3 ranks. So obviously you're going to increase the ranks to 3, get the +1 focus, getting a critical hit. Precision moved up to rank 3 of the traits, and you have to put 3 points to get the full benefit. There's also a note about reducing the cooldown of penetrating shot by 1 second per rank. Currently, pen shot is 1 second cooldown. I'm assuming they're going to increase the cooldown of pen shot then. That seems kind of weird to me. Maybe they mean another skill, but the trait says reducing the cooldown of pen shot, so we'll see what happens there. And for the 3rd set bonus in red, Archer's Mark, it seems like it's getting a nerf. Instead of being something you can permanently keep up on the target, it's instead going to have a 20% chance on a critical hit to increase incoming damage on the target by 2.5% for 10 seconds, and this can occur only once every minute. So a slight nerf to the utility of Red Hunter there with Archer's Mark. On the next line, we're going to have Bow of the Righteous is getting moved up from line 6 to line 4. It seems like the red notes are a bit unfinished because there's like no mention of in for the kill, mercy kill. So either they're just unfinished or they scrapped some of these traits. But for the next line, Bow of the Righteous moves up to rank 4 of the traits. And it says no other changes. I'm assuming that means in for the kill, mercy kill, and rain of arrows is staying in their respective 4th line of traits. That should mean that hemorrhaging shot is also staying the same, the 4th set bonus for red. Now for rank number 5, we finally get Relentless Barrage, which replaces Bodkin arrows. There are no notes on Quick Draw or Burn Hot, so they're probably staying the same. I'm assuming Swift Mercy stays the same. The next big change here is Relentless Barrage, which replaces Bodkin arrows. So Bodkin arrow gets replaced by Relentless Barrage. It has 2 ranks. Rank 1 reduces the cooldown of Barrage 1 and 2 by 1 second. And rank 2 removes the cooldown of Barrage 1, 2, and 3. Barrage 3 becomes plus 280% barrage damage, but plus 400% barrage power cost. It says it costs 2 focus to use and adds barrage 4. I guess that means that barrage 3 becomes barrage 4. It's kind of confusing for me to read, but that's what I'm reading for this. So apparently barrage will be a big damage dealing skill. Obviously still has the 12-second cooldown, but barrage is joining the red line team. So the hail of arrows trait is getting replaced by storm arrows. And if you put 1 point into this trait, rain of arrows turns into hail of arrows, which fires 2 volleys of arrows that strikes up to 10 targets within 10 meters of your target. It's going to cost 7 focus. First volley deals a current value of rain of arrows, second volley deals a bit less damage. If you put 2 points into this, hail of arrows becomes storm of arrows, which is a channeled skill for 6 seconds, costing 2 focus per second, and also hits 10 targets within 10 meters, applies a 10% slow, and deals damage every 2 seconds while active. So Hunter can potentially have a channeled AoE skill, dealing damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. That's an interesting change to this. I guess we need to do some testing to see if trading this will be worth. I think it will probably be worth it. It's going to be interesting to see when that happens. And finally, looking at the capstone skills in red, Plant Feet seems a slight rework. Instead of just being a kind of a useless evade chance after standing still, Plant Feet will instead, every 1.5 seconds you do not move, you gain a tier of something called Hold Ground. There's a maximum of 5 tiers, and this Hold Ground will expire if you move for more than 3 seconds or if you're out of combat. It'll tier down on a critical strike. So if you have tier 5 of Hold Ground and get a crit, it'll tier down to 4. So it seems like every tier of Hold Ground gives you 2% evade, which we don't care about, but it also gives 2% damage and 2% critical chance. So Plant Feet seems like it's going to be worth trading again. And for the final set bonus for Redline the Marksman, it gets a slight change. Currently on live, it reduces the Heartseeker and Upshot cooldowns when you get crits and devastating hits. It will do the same thing, but it will also reduce the cooldown of a Merciful Shot with crits or devastating hits. So Merciful Shot is added to that for the cooldowns. And you might notice that the Marksman also has 5% bypass mitigation for all focus bow skills. So Bodkin arrows still kind of stays with the Hunter, but it's only for focus bow skills, so not induction skills. So you will still bypass some mitigations, but it's only half. It's not 10%, it's 5%, and it's for all focus bow skills. So that's the rework to the Marksman set bonus for Redline. Time to look at Yellow Line Hunter. A lot of people thought that Yellow Line would just be going away. That has changed. Yellow Line is going to stay for Hunter. Currently on live, the Trapper of Foes uses AoE and CC range skills to hinder foes. Focuses on sustained damage, AoE and CC controlling the flow of battle while providing buffs for allies to gain leverage on their opponents. Skills you earned are Lingering Wound and Decoy. All traps can be used while moving and have no inductions. I think we can all safely say that Yellow Line is not really used currently for Hunters. It's more of a, you make a Yellow Line for the traps, and you put down traps, and then you switch to Red Line for DPS. So here's what Orion says about Trapper of Foes, Yellow Line for Hunter. The goal with the change to Trapper of Foes is to allow the Hunter to use traps and survival skills to control and debuff enemies, and deal damage through predominantly range skills. So Trapper of Foes will still grant the skill Decoy. You will no longer get Lingering Wound because Lingering Wound is going to Blue Line, but you instead gain the Pinning Shot from Red. So Pinning Shot goes from Red to Yellow Line, so you gain Pinning Shot and Decoy, and traps can still be used while moving and has no inductions. So let's have a look at the traits for Yellow Line. If there's no notes about the trait, I'm just going to assume that it's staying there and not changing at all. For the first rank of Yellow Line, we have a new trait, Nimble Fingers, which will increase your finesse rating based on your level. You can increase it with 5 ranks. So we're getting a new trait to the top of Yellow Line. Seems like Tripwire, Natural Extracts, and Survival Gear are staying the same. The first set bonus for Yellow, Deadly Decoy. Deadly Decoy currently on live makes Decoy become Deadly Decoy, which now explodes after a duration, causing damage and stunning enemies around it. So after 15 seconds, it does an explosion. With this rework, the only change is that if the decoy gets destroyed before expiration, the decoy will explode and apply a 2-second daze. In the second rank of Yellow, combat traps get a little bit of a change. Instead of -3 seconds of all trap skill cooldowns per rank, it is instead -2-second reduction to trap skills cooldown. You still get the 10% trap damage per rank. No notes about Explosive Arrow or Elusive, I think they stay the same. But Endurance will be moved up from the 3rd rank to the 2nd rank. It still keeps the same effects, just gets moved up a rank. Then again, I looked further down on the forum post. Elusive moves to the 10-15 rank. I'm just going to assume that Explosive Arrow stays the same. Elusive gets moved down to the 3rd rank and gains 1 evade per rank, so it's still the same. Basically, Endurance and Elusive just switch places. Danger Sense is a new trait on the 3rd line, reducing the cooldown to Dazing Blow by 5 seconds. And increasing the Pinning Shot route duration by 5 seconds. The next note is for a new set bonus, Imposing Presence. It replaces Strong Intimidation, which is on rank 4, but instead it's going to get moved to rank 3. So Imposing Presence will be the rank 3 set bonus, and this set bonus reduces Bard's Arrow damage by 25%, increases Bard's Arrow fear duration by 5 seconds, and puts a -10% fear resistance on the target. It will increase Deadly Decoy duration by 5 seconds, increase Deadly Decoy's health by 25%, and increase damage of Deadly Decoy by 10%. Explosive Powder gets moved from the 3rd to the 4th rank, but no other changes to it. And I now realize that Survival Gears moves to the 20-25 rank tier, which is rank 5. So Survival Gear is going all the way from the top, all the way to rank 5. next to armor rand. So survival gear far down in yellow. As a red hunter, you love getting the survival gear. It's a bit OP in my opinion, so this is probably a good change, moving survival gear further down in the trait line. So survival gear from the first rank of traits to the 5th rank of traits. Advanced placement gets moved from the 4th lines of traits down to the 5th line, so one line further down from where it currently is. And the note says increase trap range to plus 10 meters. So I'm not sure if it will increase the range more than it currently does, or if it still keeps a 10-meter range. Probably 10 more, but in any case it gets moved down one. But in any case it gets moved down from the 4th line to the 5th line of the traits. Master Trapper gets moved from the 3rd line to the 4th line, so it's gonna go down one place in the set bonus. Deadly Decoy keeps the 10% incoming crit chance debuff for 10 seconds. With the new Master Trapper, there's going to be a 5% bonus to Tripwire to trigger a Fellowship maneuver. So I guess a 5% more chance to get a Fellowship maneuver from Tripwire. Tripwire also gets plus 3 seconds to the knockdown. And Piercing Trap gets a minus 5% mitigation bonus on targets struck for 10 seconds. That's a pretty strong buff for a Piercing Trap, getting like half a Bodkin arrows. And I'm guessing it's for everyone, so it's like a benefit for all classes. And Triple Trap keeps the plus 15 incoming damage debuff, or they might do something else with it. Piercing Trap stays the same, you gain Piercing Trap. There's a note on armor penetration, and I'm assuming that's the armor rand gets moved from the 5th rank currently to one rank down to the 6th rank. Purge Poison is the 6th set bonus in yellow. It's going to get moved up to be the 5th set bonus, but like the note says, there might be some changes to that, and it might be replaced by something else. Wilderness Senses will replace Heightened Senses and move from the 5th trait line down to the 6th, basically switching places with Purge Poison. And this new set bonus gives you the ability to move while camouflaged. You also get stealth detection and stealth ranks. You can be really stealthy and move while camouflaged. Improved Distracting Shot gets a few changes. Instead of 2 ranks, it now has 3 ranks. Distracting Shot cooldown is reduced by 50 seconds per rank, so a max of 150 seconds. The Distracting Shot days is increased by 5 seconds per rank, so a 15-second increase to the days. And it also gets a minus 10% chance to Distracting Break days chance per rank, so it's harder to break out of the days. Emergency Preparations, which is a capstone skill in yellow, sees a big change. Instead of the effects that you get from it on live, you instead gain the following skills. You get Launch Decoy, you get Tangle Wire Arrow, and a Puncturing Arrow. So Launch Decoy shoots a deadly decoy at your target. Launch Decoy shares the cooldown with the Deadly Decoy and has a 30-meter base range. Basically, this means instead of placing your Deadly Decoy, you can then instead shoot it at your target. Tangle Wire Arrow shoots a Tripwire Trap at your target, and it shares a cooldown with Tripwire and has a 30-meter base range. Same thing, you can shoot your Tripwire Trap at your target instead of just placing a trap. And Puncturing Arrow shoots a Piercing Trap at your target, so you can also shoot your Piercing Trap at your target. So basically, Emergency Preparations makes Deadly Decoy, Tripwire Trap, and Piercing Trap skills that you can shoot at your enemies, like as if they were a normal bow skill. And the final trait, I don't know if the one trap is staying or going away. The notes are kind of like vague about that, but Explosive Traps, all trap skills are now AoE and affect up to 4 targets. This can be modified by AoE target traceries, so all your traps can be AoE, which is a significant buff to traps. Instead of just hitting one target, you can hit multiple targets. That pretty much covers the initial post by Orion about all the different lines. Some of it seems a bit unfinished, especially the red line wasn't that detailed. That covers all the changes in the post. So now I'm just going to go scroll through all the replies and see what Orion replied to some of the forum posts. The first comment is by Jay Macon. He's basically asking if red will still be the top DPS line, and Orion says hunters are a DPS, bowmasters should remain the highest traditional. I stand back and deal the most DPS. Huntsmen should still function as the preferred landscape clearing hunter, with some play style alteration thrown in to get them within the DPS range of a bowmaster through careful use of melee and ranged when grouping. And yellow should become a more support style CC debuffer. Eckenbrand asked about find the path costing points, and Orion says the reason that we likely won't is because some hunters like to be able to spec into it if they are not a blue line hunter. And it seems like those were the only replies by Orion as of yet. So just to finish, I wanted to give my thoughts on what I've seen in this forum post and what I think about the hunter class. Currently, the way hunter works, red line hunter is fun to play, it does good damage. Blue line hunter is not as much damage, but it's still mobile and fun to play. And the yellow line is basically only used for traps. Or the blue line changes, making it more of a range / melee hunter. Doesn't sound too bad to me. I don't really mind that. I would be interested to see how much damage a optimized blue hunter could do. Blue line losing barrage is kind of interesting with it moving over to red line. It'll definitely be interesting to see where blue line hunter lands. But from the changes that I've seen, I don't mind it that much. It seems fine. Integrating some melee damage shouldn't be much of a problem for a blue line hunter. Red line seems to be keeping the most firepower as it should. And I like that Bodkin arrows is going away. It's not fully going away because the last set bonus in red will still have 5% for focus bow attacks. But it's a good, much needed nerf for hunters. Bodkin arrows made them much too strong, and obviously redline wasn't that detailed in the thread, so the AoE changes to hail of arrows, maybe getting a channeling AoE where you pump out AoE seemed interesting, and as long as redline stays the top DPS, I don't see much problems. It's going to be interesting to see how barrage fits into a rotation, and I also like that merciful shot gets included into the critical hit, devastating hit, reset chance. Get the skill back faster. Maybe we'll see some increased usage of merciful shot. Maybe it'll be worth getting the tracery again. And when it comes to yellow line, survival gear moving down, good change, because honestly hunters are too sturdy for how much damage they do. If they trade survival gear, they can take a lot of big hits, and it's going to be harder to get now that it's deeper into yellow. But yellow overall, I'm not sure if a CC hunter is ever going to be needed if their debuffs are enough. If you make them strong enough for where the debuffs are impactful enough to warrant a place over another DPS, then you might be onto something. But from what I saw from the traits, there's a lot of moving stuff around, but also changing the traps to be AoE, and also some of the traps you can actually shoot at the target. Makes it interesting for the efficiency of your traps. But if yellow hunter is ever gonna be a thing in group play, obviously they're not gonna replace a lore master, they're not gonna replace a burglar. The only place they would have would be to replace one of the DPS in a raid setup, and this would only be possible if their debuffs are good enough for them to warrant a spot in a raid. Personally, I'm not so sure about yellow hunter getting a spot. I feel like it would have been much easier just getting rid of yellow line, but it seems like their decision is to keep yellow line, so I guess there's nothing we can do about that. Overall, this was just like an early look at the hunter reworks, and of course we should reserve our judgment for when we get actual changes to the game and we can do testing and see how everything works. Overall, I think the blue and red changes seemed fine, and the yellow line I'm really unsure about, but time will tell. Hey! Hey you! Yeah, you! What do you want? You enjoy my content and you want to support me? Fine, I'll show you how you can do it. I would really appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to my channel. You can also support me through my Ko-fi homepage. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The The Ghyniverse is a Discord server created for the community of the players of Lord of the Rings Online. The server is getting close to 7,000 members, and in this server you'll find tons of helpful information. There's monthly giveaways, easy access to patch notes, you can keep up with my YouTube videos, my streams. If you're a streamer, you can ask for the streamer role and you can announce your streams in the other stream channel. There are discussion channels for pretty much everything, every class, monster players. But the best thing about this server is probably the Gearing Resources tab, where you can find anything from trait lines for every class, every build. There are stat goals, where you can find out what stats you should aim for on your characters. Really helpful information about drop rates from instances, as well as screenshot from all the new loot that appears in the game. If you enjoy LOTRO, you should definitely consider joining this server, and hopefully I'll see you in Middle Earth. If you were part of the Ghyniverse already, you might have noticed that another tab appeared at the top, the LFF server. This server is a brand new server that I created, the LFF Ghyniverse. In this server, you can select which servers you want to keep up with, and once you select your server, say you select Arkenstone, you will see the LFF, the kinship advertisement, looking for kinship and trade channels, and there's also voice channels if people want to use those. The LFF channel is basically a looking for fellowship channel where people can post if they need players for the runs, and this way people don't have to be logged into the game to see the chat, they can just instead get a notification on their Discord. There's also a kinship advertisement page where kins can post their kinship advertisement and have people join their kins, and you can also post in the looking for kinship chat if you're looking for a kinship, but make sure to take a look in the kinship advertisement first and look through all the kin to find a suitable kin for you. There's also a trade channel if people want to buy or sell stuff that you can use. Hopefully you'll consider joining this server to bring the community even more together, not just in the game, but also outside of the game.